Hi, and welcome to the Art Room with me as your art teacher, Mrs. Samala. I'll tell you a little bit about myself before we get started. This is me and my family at the State Fair. It's one of my favorite places to go at the end of summer. My husband is also a teacher. He teaches science in the Duluth schools. My son, his wife, and my second daughter all go to St. Scholastica. They're going into the medical field, and so they're studying there. And then my youngest daughter goes to the high school. She's an 11th grader. All of my children and my husband and myself are Hermantown Hawks, so we all graduated from Hermantown as well. This is our little pet, Cosmo. He is a dachshund, which is a long-haired dachshund. So he is a crazy dog, kind of a wild animal. In the summertime, he loves to dig holes, and that's why his feet are so full of mud. And then he comes in and goes to the sink and gets a washing. And then because he has long hair that's really, really fine, in the wintertime, he gets all full of snowballs because he's kind of a low rider through the snow. He has really, really short legs. And so he looks like this often when he comes in, and he gets a bath too. He's a crazy dog, and he keeps us very well entertained. So the big question I had for you earlier is, what is art? And that's kind of some ideas I want to explore today with you and show you some unique pieces and ideas because art is so imaginative and creative. Art can be photography. This is a photographer that takes very close up or microscopic views of butterflies' wings. Here's an artist that's a drawer. So this looks like paint, but it's actually a drawing of a big paint splotch. And this artist really likes very realistic details. Very, very realistic. That's her style. Art can be sculptures. This is an environmental sculpture where the artist took debris from like construction sites and put them out into a lake area where you can walk around. Sometimes it's covered with water. Sometimes it's exposed. It's called Spiral Jetty. So it's one of the first environmental pieces that was ever created. Art can be furniture in surprising ways. Art can be paintings. I'll bet a lot of you know what this painting is. Leonardo da Vinci's The Mona Lisa. Art can be clothing. This is an unusual artist, though. This artist makes clothes out of origami or paper. So they're paper costumes worn by ballet dancers. Art can be fibers, and any kind of fiber art deals with like yarns or threads, and it can be woven, it can be sewn, but it deals with like materials and fabrics. This is called yarn bombing, where you put yarn outside in a place it's a surprise. Art can be architecture. This is the famous Notre Dame that actually started on fire a few years ago during some construction, and now they're rebuilding it. People make art. Why would people make art? Sometimes it's to tell stories. Sometimes it's to share feelings. This is initially usually alarming to look at, but it is a wood sculpture. It's solid. There's nothing happening here, but it gives the feeling of something happening. It's a solid piece of wood, though, that's been carved. Sometimes it's to make things look special. Here's Georgia O'Keeffe that used to like to make her flowers look very huge and special. Sometimes art is to remember special people. This is a Crazy Horse monument that's being constructed. It's still under construction. It's by Mount Rushmore. So Mount Rushmore is a famous sculpture of the 4 presidents' faces or heads. And this is Crazy Horse, who was a Native American, a very famous Native American. And so they are making a sculpture out of rock about him. Sometimes it's to remember special times. So these are the vases from the ancient Athens, the original Olympic Games, which is amazing. And this is how we know that people had Olympic Games. They left their art on this pottery. This is probably a trophy actually from the event, from the Olympic Games. It's kind of amazing to think about because they didn't have televisions or photography to remember things. So they wrote their pictures on sculptures or on walls or paintings. Art can be huge, like this gigantic sculpture. The head has gone missing on it because it's so ancient. Or it can be very, very tiny. The sculpture artist likes to leave the surprising sculptures in places where sometimes people will notice them and sometimes they won't. But they take photographs about them. People make art everywhere in the world. Here's just a couple examples. This is a Japanese artist, and so that's where she's originated from, but she makes art obviously throughout the whole world. This is an artist from Hungary. She takes lace and creates very, very small scenes that are very intricate and detailed. Artists choose their own materials, and you think about that. What are materials? It's whatever you're working with. That's what your materials are. So think about, what is this? Just think about it. What is this made out of? This floppy-eared dog. There's paint and it's chains from bikes. This is curious. What is this made out of? It's not going to last very long. This is made out of ice. There are many, many ice sculptures. This is made out of, think about it, balloons. Art can make us feel. We could name some feelings, but let's see what these artists have make us feel like. This one made me feel curious. So this artist takes garbage and then takes felt and makes these cute little sculptures on top of it that look realistic on top of pieces of recycled garbage. Ooh, sometimes art can be dizzy. This is a painting that was done before computers were invented. So you could maybe do something like this on a computer and get the illusion of like dizziness or movement. It's totally awesome, but this was all done with paint. Artists can also try to make us feel sad. So this artist, Pablo Picasso, made this head of a weeping woman because she was so sad about a war that was happening. And so he distorts her face to make her look even more sad and uncomfortable. Sometimes it can make us feel surprised. This artist takes pictures, close-ups, and then takes all the photographs and layers them one on top of the other in kind of a collage in order to recreate the scene. So these are probably over 100 photographs put together. They are all close-ups. So it looks a little bit disjointed, but kind of interesting rather than just taking one big photograph. So the big question is, what is art to you? And that's something that we're going to discover throughout the year. Thanks for watching, and think about that. What do you think art is to you?